It's understandable that Michelle Go's tragic subway death is causing grief and anxiety, especially for Asian Americans. But her advocacy work shows that more policing is not the solution. I'm Yoonj Kim, and this is MTV News Need to Know. On Tuesday, a candlelight vigil was held in Times Square for Michelle Alyssa Go, who was killed last week when she was shoved onto the subway tracks in New York. She is remembered by friends and family as a kind, brilliant, and optimistic leader. Go, who was 40, also volunteered with the New York Junior League to help people experiencing homelessness re-enter the workforce. Go's death has been extremely hurtful for many, especially as cases of anti-Asian hate crimes have risen since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. But there isn't clear evidence suggesting this attack was racially motivated, especially since the suspect had harassed a non-Asian woman right before Go. Nonetheless, it's important to acknowledge the fear that this incident caused, while also recognizing other factors that may have contributed to this senseless killing, including lack of support for mental health. The suspect, Simon Marshall, 61, was homeless and had been living with mental illness for many years. He boarded the train after pushing Go and turned himself in at another station, claiming that he did it because he, quote, is God. New Yorkers share a very rational fear of ending up on the train tracks. The NYPD reported there were 30 subway shoving incidents in 2021, and in response to the violence, Governor Kathy Hochul and Mayor Eric Adams cited an increase of homelessness, promising to add more police to the subways. But there were 6 cops in the station when Go was killed, and 2 were on the platform where it happened. Mayor Adams spoke at Go's vigil and did talk about addressing mental illness. But he's also a former police captain who ran as tough on crime, so wanting more cops and subway sweeps in response to increased homelessness is concerning. Officials often answer violence with increased police presence, but decades of evidence show imprisonment does not reduce crime. Plus, in 2020, it cost New York City $500,000 to house a single inmate. And that same year, about $11 billion of the city's budget was allocated to the NYPD. That's 22 times more than the city allocated for mental health care that year. Consequently, New York has already spent a large sum of money on the suspect. Marshall has been in and out of mental health facilities for the past 20 years and has been arrested 10 times since 1998, according to the New York Daily News. And cycling through the carceral system likely exacerbated his struggles. And Marshall's sister told the New York Post that he began living with mental illness in his 30s and was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but that it was very hard to get him comprehensive care. I remember begging one of the hospitals let him stay because once he's out, he didn't want to take medication, and it was the medication that kept him going. And it's not only my brother. I don't think enough people look at mental illness like a disease. While many are pointing out flaws in the healthcare system, others are posing practical infrastructure changes that could have prevented this tragedy. Some countries, particularly in East Asia, have built platform screen doors to prevent subway train deaths. As journalist Melissa Chen tweeted, in Singapore, where I grew up, all of such stations were retrofitted with 1.5-meter tall platform barriers whose doors only open when the train comes to a stop. Whether it's murders or suicides in East Asia, the solution wasn't to preach some vague slogan like Stop Hate, but to use technology to solve the problem. And subway platform doors have been proposed before, but the MTA has repeatedly rejected this technology, saying it would be too expensive. So while it's nice to see leaders like Adams showing support for the Asian community at vigils and on social media, it feels more like virtue signaling at best, and at worst, a way to deflect from actual solutions. And as we process this tragedy, perhaps we can take a lesson from Michelle Go's own life. To honor her, we can't conflate homelessness with violence. Rather, we should remember that she was working to bridge the cracks in our system that led so many into these crises, giving help to those in need. I'm Yoonj Kim, and that's what you need to know.